Mudslides and rebuilding. It's the aftermath of the fires that struck Los Angeles in January. Hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English for Monday, March 10th, 2025. This is the best podcast for you if you're learning English and if you're interested in current events and trending topics. Every Monday and Thursday, you get to listen to a story about something happening in the world. The audio goes a little slower than native speed, so you can understand every word. And you'll hear new words and new ways of expressing ideas in English, and you'll learn about the world at the same time. Good deal, right? Well, last week we talked about the Los Angeles wildfires, and today we'll continue that story. So if you didn't hear the last episode, go back and check that one out. It was number 755. Today, though, is number 756. So you can see the full story at plainenglish.com/756. That includes the transcript, the fast version of the audio, a quiz, exercises, translations, and more. plainenglish.com/756. Before we start today's story, I'd just like to remind you that the podcast is just one part of how we can help you upgrade your English skills. At plainenglish.com, you can make faster progress with active learning strategies. You can take quizzes, do activities, listen to the fast version of the audio, watch video workshops, practice what you learn, and even join a live call with JR and me. It's all about helping you build your skills to become a better, more confident English speaker. Sound good? Go to plainenglish.com to start your free 14-day trial today. Now, let's jump into today's story. After 3 harrowing weeks fighting wildfires, Angelenos, residents of Los Angeles, could finally breathe easy in early February 2025. The worst wildfires to strike the city in recent memory had been extinguished, and the city could start thinking about how to rebuild the burned areas and prepare for the future. But Mother Nature was not done with Los Angeles. You might remember hearing about the Santa Ana winds. These are hot, dry winds that blow in from the east. Well, now think of the exact opposite. Wet air moving in from the Pacific Ocean. That's called an atmospheric river. And just days after the fires were brought under control, an atmospheric river dumped heavy rainfall on the LA area. Some areas got 6 inches of rain in just 3 days. In some ways, this was a relief. It helped extinguish any remaining flames and cooled things off. But it also brought danger. Remember what happened during the fires. Dry vegetation in hilly areas burned for weeks. The vegetation holds the topsoil in place on these steep hillsides. Many of the plants burned in the fires. So when heavy rains came, the ground became unstable. What came next? Mudslides. A mudslide is what happens when gravity pulls wet, loose soil downhill like a fast-moving river of mud. Mudslides are dangerous because they can happen with very little notice, and they're very powerful. They can and did wipe away houses. One restaurant owner was cleaning up getting ready to reopen after the fires. But a mudslide started nearby, and within minutes, the whole restaurant and its parking lot were buried in mud and debris. Mudslides trapped people in buildings. One even carried a fire department vehicle off the road and into the ocean with a firefighter inside. A part of the famous Pacific Coast Highway had to be closed. Area beaches were closed to swimmers because of the contamination from mudslides in the ocean. So now, large parts of Los Angeles are on double cleanup duty. They have to deal with the aftermath of both fires and mudslides. After the cleanup, America's second largest city will have to think about rebuilding. Wildfires have always been a danger to the area, but LA's pleasant weather, booming economy, and relaxed vibe helped people put the danger out of their minds. That willful ignorance will not work any longer. Prevention will be a big area of focus. Controlled burns can help clear flammable vegetation and reduce the intensity of future wildfires by about 15%, according to one study. But environmental policies can delay the process of clearing flammable vegetation. That may need to change. Sparks from power lines are a common cause of fires. The area's electrical grid needs an upgrade. Early warning systems with advanced cameras and sensors are already strong, but they'll likely get even better. AI can help identify areas at the highest risk of outbreaks. So that's prevention, but planning can also help contain damage from the fires that will inevitably break out in the future. Start with building codes. New homes may be required to have even more fire prevention systems, like non-combustible roofing and fire-resistant siding. But modern building codes aren't the problem. They're already pretty strong. The problem is that there are so many old houses. Building new houses is very expensive in California, so many homes date back to a building boom in the 1950s. And those older homes are not as fire resistant as newer homes are. California may finally take steps to make building new homes easier and more affordable, helping to ease both the housing shortage and the wildfire risk at the same time. Where to build may be just as important as what to build. City planners are considering wildfire buffer zones to establish a clear boundary between wild vegetation and neighborhoods. Green belts and open space might be strategically placed to act as a brake against future fires. Many neighborhoods in Los Angeles have narrow, winding roads, and some neighborhoods just have a single way out. This is hazardous if people need to evacuate on short notice. New developments should have multiple ways in and out. Technology can help guide decision-making in a crisis. The fire department published good real-time information to help residents understand the dangers and know when they should evacuate. But in a future crisis, residents would benefit from better maps and faster information presented in an easy-to-understand way. Even with all of that, some people may decide to leave. California is experiencing more weather whiplash in recent years, with drought followed by heavy rainfall. The conditions that led to this year's fires and mudslides are likely to get worse, not better, in the future. A recent poll said a quarter of people are considering moving away from Los Angeles to avoid the effects of climate change. Other people might not have any choice but to leave. California has a law that limits the increase in home insurance rates from year to year. And while that seems nice, there has been an unintended consequence. Many insurance companies have stopped operating in the state because they can't cover the true cost of insuring property there. The state government offers insurance, but some people can't afford even that subsidized program. So for many who lost their homes in the fires, there was no insurance to help them rebuild, and they can't afford to start over in such an expensive area. Los Angeles has 3 big events coming up. The city will host some of the World Cup games in 2026. It will host the Super Bowl in 2027, and then the Summer Olympics in 2028. There will be pressure on the city and the state to show that they're rebuilding better than before. Well, that's all for us here on this Monday edition of Plain English. Thanks for starting your week with us, for making us part of your English learning routine. If you listen on the go, in the car, or on a podcast app, you might not know about what we have to offer on the website. It's a full learning app, all centered around the topics you know and love from the podcast. So check it out at plainenglish.com. If you're not already a member, we have a free membership level and a free 14-day trial of the Plus membership as well. plainenglish.com to check that out, and we'll be back with a new topic on Thursday. See you then. Listen up if you speak Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, or Turkish. One of the most frustrating things about listening and reading in a second language is being confused by unfamiliar words or phrases. When you listen to Plain English, or when you read the transcript, you probably encounter some words you don't know. When that happens, you have a few options. You can stop the audio, go look up the definition, then return to the episode, find your place, and press play again, but that's exhausting. Or you can just skip it and be confused. That's no fun either. But what if you could see the translation of the word into your language instantly without having to stop the audio, without having to look anything up? Well, you can at plainenglish.com. For each episode, we translate about 100 words and phrases from English to 9 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, and Turkish. And we highlight those words in blue. All you have to do is hover your mouse over the highlighted word, and you'll see the translation instantly. It works great on mobile too. It really makes listening a lot more satisfying, and it's a great way to expand your vocabulary in English. The best way to see these translations is to sign up for a free 14-day trial at plainenglish.com. During your trial, You can read as many transcripts as you like, all with the translations into your language. So sign up for your free trial today at plainenglish.com.